The last flight of the A-10 Warthog is coming in 2026, 2 years earlier than originally planned. The revelation came in the budget documents being kicked around the halls of Congress right now.
When the U.S. Air Force starts talking about retiring the A-10 Thunderbolt II, lovingly called the Warthog, it usually sparks a war of worldviews. On one side, we've got the modern military thinkers rattling off words like budget optimization, hypersonic platforms, and fifth-generation warfare. On the other side are the people who actually use the thing, the pilots and the grunts on the ground begging the brass not to take away their flying tank. The A-10 is not sleek. It is not stealthy. It looks like it was designed by someone who dropped a refrigerator from a 3-story building and said, "Yes, this is aerodynamic enough." But despite its aesthetic crimes, this beast has a cult following among ground troops and air crews alike. And no, it's not just nostalgia. It's raw, battle-tested, fire-breathing efficiency. So how did this odd-looking Cold War relic turn into a battlefield rock star? Why the A-10 had to exist? Let's rewind to the late 1960s. The U.S. Air Force was flying air support missions in Vietnam using the Douglas A-1 Skyraider, a propeller-driven aircraft born before Elvis dropped his first single. Despite its rugged design, it was slow, lightly armed, and distressingly easy to shoot down. A whopping 266 Skyraiders were lost in combat. And that was all the proof anyone needed. America needed a new close air support plane, and it needed one fast. In 1966, General John P. McConnell, Chief of Staff of the Air Force, officially kicked off the AX program. The idea? Build a plane that could fly low, hit hard, and survive being poked by every angry enemy gun within range. The contract went out to 21 defense contractors, but by 1973, one company stood tall, stood up: Fairchild Republic. Meanwhile, General Electric was tapped to design a gun that would soon give battle tanks recurring nightmares. Designed around a gun the size of a car. If there's one thing the A-10 is known for, it's its GAU-8A Avenger rotary cannon. This monster is essentially a flying Gatling gun with wings, 7 barrels of fury that chew through armor like a buzz saw through warm butter. Let's put it this way, the cannon is so huge that if maintenance crews want to remove it, they'd have to put a jack under the tail of the plane. Otherwise, the aircraft tips backward like a chubby toddler with a backpack too big for its body. The 30mm cannon was originally set to fire either 2,100 or 4,200 rounds per minute. Eventually, they settled on a middle ground of 3,900 rounds per minute, because moderation is key, even when you're obliterating enemy tanks. While the magazine technically empties in about 18 seconds of continuous fire, in practice, pilots only use 1 or 2 second bursts. Otherwise, the barrels get very angry. Also worth noting, the ammunition is so large it's been compared to beer bottles. So next time you see an A-10, just imagine it carrying a cake party of doom under its fuselage. The titanium bathtub of justice. The A-10 may not win beauty contests, but it's the kind of ugly you want on your side in a bar fight. It was built from the ground up to take punishment and keep flying. The pilot sits inside a titanium bathtub, a 1,200-pound cocoon made of armor plating up to 1.5 inches thick. This shell can withstand direct hits from 23mm cannon fire and even shrapnel from 57mm shells. That's not a typo. This is the kind of armor you put on tanks. On top of that, the fuel tanks are cleverly designed to self-seal if punctured, and check valves stop leaking fuel from spreading through the system. Even if all 4 tanks are wiped out, which is rare, the aircraft has backup sumps that give it 230 miles of emergency range. Basically, you have to really want this plane dead, and even then, it might come back to haunt you. If the hydraulics fail, no problem, there's a manual flight control system. Lose an engine? It'll limp home on the other one. Half a wing gone? Still flyable. The A-10 is the only aircraft that seems to respond to catastrophic damage with, "Hey, I have had worse." Built smart, not flashy. The A-10's twin TF-34 GE100A turbofan engines were mounted high on the fuselage, far from debris, dust, and enemy fire. This also helps reduce their infrared signature, making it harder for heat-seeking missiles to lock on. And those engines? You can rearm and refuel the plane underneath while the engines are still running. That's NASCAR-level efficiency. Even the fake canopy painted on the aircraft's belly, yes, you read that right, serves a tactical purpose. It confuses enemies about the A-10's orientation during close maneuvers, buying the pilot a split-second edge in combat. If you ever needed proof that psychological warfare can be painted with gray primer, this is it. A history of upgrades that actually made sense. Over the decades, the A-10 has racked up more upgrades than your average smartphone, and unlike those phone updates that mysteriously drain your battery and break your favorite apps, these enhancements actually made the Warthog better. In the 1970s, it gained laser targeting capability with the addition of the PAVE penny pod. The 1980s introduced inertial navigation systems, giving pilots better spatial awareness. Then came the 1990s, when the A-10 was fitted with the low-altitude safety and targeting enhancement system, basically a digital brain for this analog bruiser. But the real transformation happened in the 2000s with the A-10C upgrade, turning the aircraft into a fully modern battlefield predator. It received smart bomb guidance, GPS navigation, multifunctional displays, and the now essential hands-on throttle and stick configuration. Communications were beefed up with Link 16 and satellite communications, and it was armed with the advanced precision kill weapon system for guided rocket strikes. To top it off, the Air Force replaced the wings under the thick-skin Urgent Spares kitting program, extending the Warthog's service life to at least 2040. Good luck finding a car that can last that long and shrug off missile hits like it's just another Tuesday. Why the Air Force keeps trying and failing. Despite its incredible track record, the A-10 is constantly on the chopping block. Why? Because the top brass says it wouldn't survive in a high-intensity war against China or other peer-level adversaries. They're not wrong. In heavily contested airspace with modern signs, allergies and medication systems and anti-aircraft missiles, even the mighty Warthog could be vulnerable. But here's the thing, it's not meant to go toe-to-toe with enemy fighters. It's meant to save the lives of soldiers on the ground by making sure the other guy's tanks, trucks, and bunkers go boom. Congress agrees. Every time the Air Force submits a retirement plan, lawmakers shoot it down faster than the A-10 can take out an enemy convoy. Why? Because the plane still works. It's cheap to operate, and ground forces trust it with their lives. Still in action, and not going quietly. As of fiscal year 2024, the U.S. Air Force had 218 A-10s in service. Some were moved to the boneyard, sure, but many are still flying missions. When tensions spiked in the Middle East in late 2024, A-10s were among the aircraft deployed to deter escalation. And after the fall of Bashar al-Assad in Syria, these aging beasts were back in the air providing close air support in chaotic regions. Rumors persist that some of these planes could eventually find homes with foreign air forces, perhaps Ukraine or Jordan, after the US officially retires them. Imagine a used A-10 lot. She's got 10,000 flight hours, but she still tears through armor like it's made of cheese. More than a plane, it's a philosophy. The A-10 is not just a machine. It's a philosophy in metal form. Prioritize the mission, protect the troops, and don't let fashion trends get in the way of function. In an age where stealth and super crews dominate headlines, the A-10 reminds us that sometimes brute force, titanium, and a giant gun are all you need. No, it does not sparkle at air shows. You won't see it flying in tight formation like some Blue Angels ballerina. But the Warthog does something better. It gets the job done. Quietly, effectively, relentlessly. So, who could replace the Warthog? That's the billion-dollar question. Could it be the F-35 Lightning II? Maybe. But it's fast, sleek, and incredibly expensive, and not built for loitering low over a battlefield to support infantry. Some speculate a dedicated drone platform might be the future of CAS. Others suggest a purpose-built light attack aircraft might one day inherit the Warthog's legacy. But let's be honest, there will never be another A-10. Not one that growls over the battlefield, eats armor for breakfast, and comes back home with half a wing missing and a smug look on its bulletproof face. If this Warthog deep dive made you grin like a pilot on full throttle, smash that like button. Subscribe for more legendary machines that eat missiles for breakfast. Got thoughts on who, or what, could replace the A-10? Drop a comment below. Hit the bell icon so you are cleared for takeoff with our next video. Until then, stay low, fly fast, and never mess with the hog.